I had an overall deal with Columbia Television.
Here I am, a new writer in town, you know, scared I'm never going to work again after selling Scream.
And we discussed the possibility about developing a show for television.
And I didn't have any ideas. And I was just sitting there, and suddenly I just started talking about my life. And I said, well, imagine this little kid who was growing up by the water, and he always dreamed of being Steven Spielberg.
Cut!
So I went home, stayed up all night writing an outline, you know, just going, I've got to come up with, you know, the whole story. And I must have come up in one night with what ended up being the first 6 episodes.
We came in to Fox, pitched it, and they bought it practically right there in the room as a script.
It was like a during Christmas time, so I was just, you know, home crossing my fingers. Are they going to like it? Are they going to like it?
And they passed.
The script went away, went in a drawer. My life was over. I didn't think anything would ever happen with this.
And we didn't have any movement on the project until that summer.
And the WB came along, and they were, you know, speaking with such fevered passion about how much they loved this script.
About a month later, we got the green light to make a short presentation film. One of the first people to come in was Michelle Williams.
I just wanted her to have all those qualities, this intelligence, the sexiness, the charm, the humor. Michelle Williams had all of that.
Oh, well, my mouth drops.
She's one of those creatures that just sort of came into this world with sex appeal. When she auditioned, she came in, and we gave a couple of scenes to read. There was a scene where she goes in and sees her grandfather, who's dying. And she just looks, and then she just simply says, "Does it hurt?" She started crying, and Paul and I looked at each other and went, "She's got the role. That's her. That's her. Next." Josh Jackson, he was one of the first actors we decided on. But we just knew Josh Jackson was like the best actor of all the young men we had seen, because he was Pacey. He just blew us away with his just natural charm, his personality that he put into every line. He delivered, because we had callbacks and callbacks and callbacks, because, you know, I was young and very indecisive. Joey, I'd like you to meet your new lab partner.
Him?
Her? At another point in the casting process, Marcia Schulman, a casting person, said, "You should look at this." And it was Katie Holmes. Her mom taped her in her basement. Both Kevin and I looked at it and thought, all right, there's Joey Potter.
In our minds, Paul and I had sort of chosen someone else to play this part. And then, lo and behold, in the 11th hour, that videotape arrives. We just watched this face on a bad videotape, just all this hair, and then somewhere in that hair were these just 2 sullen, sunken eyes that when they looked up to the camera, I swear they could knock you over. She has star quality, and it's because she's a star in life.
And so we were moving toward production, and we kept looking for Dawson. The days turned into weeks. We must have read 400 or 500 people, and we still didn't have an actor to play the part of Dawson Leary.
Who are you? Dawson Leary.
I looked at the tape and thought to myself, all right, this guy's great. We got to fly James out now to Los Angeles for the studio and the network.
I wanted to cast someone who had sort of an intelligence, that had a sense of humor about himself. He'd come off very smart, but, you know, sit down and cry just like a baby. You know, I wanted that vulnerability.
It's all part of a grander plan that is coming true.
And then, luckily, the notion of shooting in Wilmington, North Carolina came up.
Wilmington is the East Coast, film-friendly small town, and they have the studio set up there, so it was sort of the obvious choice, and I think we pursued other areas, but ultimately North Carolina worked because it was, you know, it's just so organic to what we were trying to create, and it was, you know, home for me. I was sitting there shooting Dawson's Creek about 2.5 hours from the real Dawson's Creek where I grew up. You know, I was the guy in the backyard with my 8mm camera filming these horror movies, you know, reading my Fangoria magazine.
Beautiful.
And I did have a friend who lived, you know, down the creek. Fanny was her name. And she would sail around the bridge to my house because it took 5 minutes. But if you walked it, it took 45 minutes. And she would come over, and then it would be late at night. And so she'd have to spend the night. So we would, you know, sleep in the bed and watch TV all night.
Good night, Joey. Good night, Dawson.
I'm sort of all of the characters. I took like either a character flaw in me or just one trait that is sort of front and center, and I put it in every single character. I've learned to do that for everything I do because that's what keeps you writing. That's what keeps it personal. That's what keeps it alive.
We were in the unusual situation when we premiered of having already shot all 13 episodes. And it was so much fun seeing the groundswell of interest start to generate out there from the audience. Dawson's Creek in particular, I think, has a very vocal and passionate fan base.
It's very important to stay in touch with what the fans are telling you. For all the little girls that like the James, you're going to have all the little girls who like the Pacey. And we predicted that. It's going to be, you know, an internet fight over who do you like better, Pacey or Dawson. And sure enough, it started like by the second episode.
You can't stand the idea that if a girl is choosing between two guys, she might not choose the romantic doofus who woos her with flowers and cheesy poems, you know? She just might choose the guy who has the faster car or the bigger bicep or the bigger joystick.
Bigger joystick?
Yes.
I was very surprised about about how much the media was making of the sex in the show. And it was a little annoying to have everyone look for a hook for an article on Dawson's Creek, and that hook always becoming, oh, let's talk about the sex.
I didn't understand the controversy. I was surprised by it. I honestly didn't get it. I was writing a show about weak knees and sweaty palms. I kept telling people, you just wait, this show is about romance. No matter what they say, no matter how big they talk, the show is about, will Dawson kiss Joey?
In the spark that lies beneath the cold, in the secret place inside your soul.
It's about, you know, young love and a lot of first times in every area, not just the first time in sex.
Both Kevin and I feel as if we really put our heart and our blood into the pilot, and luckily it really hit, and it was one of certainly the most exciting times of my life.
The best experience were the people. I couldn't have asked for more because I was just starting my career, and someone saw fit to give me Dawson's Creek and let me share part of my life to the world, but also everyone else got to be involved too. You know, every once in a while you capture lightning in a bottle, and it was a special time.